going on, my friends? I'm Rick, and this is your seat at the table, and we're looking at cycle number 12 for a game not traveled. My would have been, or still may be, Interstellar Frontiers, however you want to look at it, blah. So, first, a couple of things that come to conclusion or beginning at this cycle. My R&D research and development build has completed researching blueprints for automatic rifles, which is a Tech 2 weapon. And now that I have the blueprints, I also have some Tech 2 technicians available. I can easily plug them into my current factory complex and then now produce 1 metric ton of automatic rifles if I choose to put that in my shop, because the factory itself has one slot for this sort of stuff. And so, if we look at construction at the end of or during cycle 11, I had decided to change from the ballistic rifles that I had been producing. I started producing Howie suits, which are basically hostile environment, all weather kind of hazmat kit. One size fits all spacesuit. And I should have had some produced before I took a risk and sent my Xeno scouts to my neighboring planet to do some reconnaissance to get a virus or a bug or something and croak from it. So at the beginning of this new cycle, then I will have produced 1 metric ton of Howie suits, which is 25 units, 25 suits. So now I can reestablish a research team now to send them back to that damn planet and get samples of the air, because obviously whatever it was that killed my agents had to be airborne, because they hadn't been on the planet long enough to do anything. But to basically they will spend 5 cycles researching if they can find out if they can find out. That's not even guaranteed that they do, because there's still a little process when that completion. And meanwhile, there'll be 5 cycles on a potentially hostile world, and I'll have to keep an eye on them and then check every cycle to see if they have an encounter with the locals, the natives. That's kind of how the mechanics play out for that sort of thing. So it's a matter of how you look at it. So my R&D lab also completed their research into one of the faunas that was uncovered during the exploration phase of the planet. And the other R&D lab was researching the gargantuan fauna that also had been found on the planet. So now that I have that information, and I gave a prelude to how that kind of works in the previous cycle in one of the installments, but we're going to run down through that again so we can figure out those 2 individuals, not in this video, of course, in secondary videos. I also was able to acquire all the needed materials needed to begin the construction of my first housing concern, which is a Tech 1 blueprint, which means this thing it visually can be however you choose. It can be a town. It's a block of 10,000 people, and the building can handle between 10 and 15,000 before it becomes a problem. Overcrowding becomes an issue, and so you could have one giant building that handles everybody, and it has shops and kitchens and everything a little city would require to take care of the people living there. And or you could break it up and say many big buildings and little buildings, and basically make a neighborhood in your capital or a neighboring city or a town, and however you want to play that out. So in this case, it will. My initial colony has enough shelter for 15,000, and I started at 10,000, and with the new growth this turn, I am just breaking 11,000 population on the planet. So the thing is, if you basic math, which took me a while to get a grip on, is that you can the bigger the population gets, the larger it will increase in size. It balloons up into some crazy numbers if you play enough damn cycles, I guess is what I'm saying. So we all know all that stuff's going to take place. Now the construction project to build the housing complex will take five cycles. So on the beginning, so the beginning of 18, the housing build would be completed, and then my construction company could then be tasked to begin another build, and this also gives me that amount of time to try to accumulate the materials required to make the next build, if I can figure out exactly what that build will be. It's like the research part. So I now have to figure out what kind of blueprint I want to research next. And there are ship components, there are equipment, there are actual, blueprints for buildings and factories and things like that, and weapons and vehicles. There's a whole slew of these things, and each tech level requires that you already have the pre-existing tech level base, and you have the people that are capable of doing the work, and you have a facility to do the research in, and this allows them to research the next thing. And so in order to get to Tech 3, you would have to have researched both tech or the Tech 2 item and then the Tech 3 item kind of thing, unless you can acquire them through some third means. And I had a couple players that got into a spy war where they were constantly sending agents back across their borders to help themselves to whatever bounties of technology their friend was researching and developing. And in part, that game was what allowed me to grow the elements required for individual stuff in combat and dealing with spy stuff. It really came and built a lot of stuff in there. Is what it is. Okay, so what we want to do now is look at, if you're still here and you're still listening, tune into the planetary event chart for Fairwind. So first, of course, is which chart to roll on. It wasn't enough to have 100 things. I thought several hundred might be better. 37, so that would be chart 2. And see what we do here. 39. Roll on other planetary event chart. Great. So odds will be 1. So odds is chart 1. Just one of those things that I don't know. I was struggling to find something to put in that line, and I thought, here, let's just do this. We'll just maybe it'll throw off the odds. Increase them or change them. I don't know. I'm not an odds guy. I'm not a bookie. So 69 on chart 1. 69 is nothing. We like that. So nothing is better than a bunch of drama. At least in my opinion. Alright, so then I want to do the ship traffic rolls, and as we know, the planet gets 2. One for being the primary settled planet in a system, and a second one because it is the seat of a house. So as my noble increases in rank, becomes a Thane or Baron, that changes and stuff as well. So it does actually serve a purpose. C59 would be chart 2, guild traffic 1. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like ones and hundreds because that's usually something. Oh, so we have a nice little micro chart here. Rogue Imperium warship arrives. Roll the Hall class. Don't forget to apply your noble status modifier. Captain is known in the service as a maverick and jumps to his own agenda, which is one of the following. Crap. This could be interesting. So, rogue Imperial ship with maverick captain, and his agenda, his or her or its agenda is going to be what? 31. What's with these threes? Stays for 1 to 2 cycles, giving the crew some much needed R&R. So that's okay. 2 cycles of R&R. So unless something else comes up, which you never know with these damn event rolls, and I get to build them. I get to build them. They're going to buy food, fuel, water, and oxygen, if as much as I can provide to them. And then there's just like the cruise liner, there is a formula. So you can go in. You figure the size of the warship that's in quote orbit or on the planet, because anything under a thousand tons can land on the planet. In my mechanics. So in this case. Not only are they sticking around, but you get to figure out the size of the ship, which tells you how big the crew is, which then you look at the formula modifier or numbers, and you basically can end up with, I don't know, a couple credits or a couple hundred credits. I mean, in theory, if a Star Destroyer shows up and it's got a population that dwarfs your colony by number of 5, well, yeah, you're boom, right? And it's happened. That's one of the reasons I think of that crap. So anyway, so look at ship traffic number 2. And 59 would be, once again, the guild. Alright, the guild chart. So let's see which... 69? I didn't even really get a chance to roll very well, did I? Oh, nothing. We'll go with that. Okay. Meanwhile, on the other channel, we're going to look at where my scout ship's at and what they're doing. So, Kamari is still at this Hardmore place. 12. And they're going to do, she's got enough supplies on board, so I'm going to have them go ahead, and he did 10% planetary search. I'm going to have them do, yeah, I think I'm going to have them scan for the mineral resources on the planet this time, because I obviously haven't done that yet. So that would consume 1 ton of supplies, but will not take up any fuel. So we change that down. And mineral resources chart. Page 12. That's what happens when your rule book is 500 pages thick. Sometimes you got to remember what basic pages for things are. It just is what it is. Okay, because it is a normal planet in the system. It's the first one quote there. We know that it is breathable in a swamp, so we already know it has water and it has oxygen, so we would factor that into the MR. We also know or get to roll 1d10 to see how many large concentrations of mineral resources that are available, and not by... If you're willing to put the work, the time, the effort, and a whole lot of pain in the ass detailed paperwork, you can put Tech Zero mining operations, little guys with bulldozers out there strip mining for a lot of this trace stuff in the MR. But the volume that you get is the difference between these mining ships and mining operations and pick and shovel stuff. So that's what we're shooting for. 1 dice. There are 8 MR. So first one is 32. Hydrogen. Okay. And I'm just going to put O2 right behind that one. And 7 more to go. 10 is beryllium. These damn words just leave me tongue-tied. I mean, it's terrible. 70. Plutonium. Ooh, this is becoming a planet full of atomic crap. I don't know if I like that. Never know. So we'll just put oxygen in there next. At least it's 6 more. Let's see, 74. Radon. Not even an element. Is that something you would mine? I don't know. I just got the stuff out the periodical chart. I didn't really give a whole hell of a lot of thought into the mechanics of the mechanics behind the mechanics. which there are people who do that very sort of thing. It amazes me. Yttrium, Uridium, Yttrium. This is playing this game for 5 years helped my friend Kenny develop his reading comprehension, and math skills. He was a very low grade high school graduate. I'm just saying. I love the guy. Don't get me wrong, but not the brightest bulb. Let's see, neon. But you keep doing things long enough, trying to learn how to do something, and next thing you know, you're developing skills you didn't know you really could do. Or is that just a sneaky way of teaching somebody something? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need one more. And 64 brings us to. I already got oxygen. And double oxygen doesn't make sense. Not unless the atmosphere roll had allowed for it. So, barium. Ba. Alright. So, now we know what's going on there. And I know that I think my shuttle's still over, because I thought I brought it back, but it's still hanging over on this other sheet, which makes me believe that I did not bring it back. And so we are going to go ahead and bring it back to Fairwind anyway. I think it refuel itself and resupply. And so my Silver Hunter is mining, and it's got plenty of supplies. Let's see, 26, 37, so it can still be mining some more stuff, which we'll start with the first one, and excuse me, 1 dice, not 2. Alright, so 0 is a 10. 26. So the cargo capacity on this thing is 100, so I don't want the amount of contents of the stuff it's mining to exceed that, because then it was just wasted and you're not actually packing any more stuff in there no matter what you do. So 1 dice, 5. Still think it's going to take a couple more cycles of mining to get that kind of capacity on this, based on the limited number of mineral resources that are available for harvesting. So 9 makes this 20. Not that any of this is not valuable. The carbon, water, and oxygen. Once again, oxygen is you use a lot of carbon and a lot of water, and the oxygen is a great product to sell to these ships. So currently I've got 2 cruise liners and at least 1 freighter, and now a Rogue Imperial cruiser sitting up there of the undetermined set size yet, and they're all buying supplies every round, every cycle they're here, and they're also trying to replenish their stores. So I'm making money off of them sitting here. That's a good thing, especially I have this stuff to sell to them, because there's big boosts to my credit pile, and I want to go that route, because at some point these merchants are bringing stuff, and I'm going to want to buy things that really are worth having, and you need the credits to do that, and you don't want your exchange to be in the hole all the time. Otherwise, if you're playing by the rules, it would start to cease to function right. Yeah, this is an unusual day for me. I am here in the middle of the afternoon on a Wednesday. Usually I'm neck deep in work somewhere, but the wife had a doctor's appointment this morning, and I had most of my jobs caught up, so I said I'll just take the rest of the day off. And it is what it is. And here, what we're doing, the rest of the day off, I'm doing some videos, because I didn't do any Sunday because I had to work a lot of shifts over the weekend too, and it burns you out after a while. So my scout ship, Jan and Caro, is over here at the Swamp Planet, and it has researched the planet 100%, and we know the pretty much everything but what's going on the planet, and that's not 100% explored. But I'm going to bring the Scout back to Fairwind. That way I can replenish it, and I want to tinker with it a bit. I've got a couple Aztecs that astrogation technician that came in on that last cruise liner, and I have a Comtech, and I'm thinking if I can plug them into one of my ships. So the Aztec will give the range of the Scout an additional 1. So having a range of 6 and now it has 7. So it means it can go go a little further on that same amount of fuel and supplies, which is a good thing. And the communications office person acts to extend the communications reception bubble of the ship. If you care about that level, the mechanics are once again all that's in there. But if it's not the sort of thing you want to be worried about, it's not. Nobody's going to make any kind of comments or say boo, because what can they say, right? So that leaves me one other mining ship. So the question is, where the hell did I leave it? And it's not back here. Oh, I got the Platinum's rented sloop that they've loaned to the house. Oh, my Iron Hunter is here, so I want to shift this. And now that I know that one planet that I scout at, it's loaded with a lot of nice stuff. So I'm going to have this mining ship come over here and do a mining run on it and take care of business doing that stuff. That's a good thing. And I remember change fuel and supplies on that. So it brings us back to this individual here, and what the hell do I want to do with it? So sometimes it's not a bad idea just to have them nearby, so you can take advantage of that defense factor in case it comes up. And I haven't had any kind of pirate issues, and I haven't really given some thought as to exactly what I want to do next with that one. So I think I'm going to let them sit and port and just basically have the rest of that cycle off. So we know what the Scout did. The mining ship's taken care of. Pretty much all the basics, and then that leaves me up. Okay, so what I want Fred Dodge to do next, what I want my 007 to do next, or what is her observation? Did she observe anything coming from the Haven? Then I want to catch up on all the paperwork on the exchange side of things and make sure that it's all up to snuff. That the books on 11's closed if you want to go that route, and then we move to doing the work on all the research that has come through. Now we don't, with the blueprints for the assault rifles, we don't need to do anything with that other than, once the Howie suits have run another cycle, it gives me a nice chunk in my warehouse. Then I can tap the auto rifles for production and do a couple 3 or 4 cycles worth that bring me up to 100 of them. At that point, I can start looking at re-equipping my militia and some of my my private security company or guard and stuff like that with the better weapon. And or if there's, because every weapon, even though it has improvements in it, can also have some disability, or it's not as just enough in the differences. So, right, a ballistic rifle happens to be a long rifle, so that might have some range advantages to it. It might have some accuracy advantages because it's a single one shot at a time. It'll hold 10 shots in it, but it's still one shot at a time, as opposed to the AR, which I think can do bursts of 5 or something like that. It comes down to how they apply the damage and things like that. Anyway, that's pretty much it for Cycle 12, and if you guys even are tuning into half of this stuff, awesome. You guys are great. Till next time, this is Rick, and I hope you guys have yourself a great weekend. Going on, my friends, this is Rick, and hey, if you like the channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, tell your buddies, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, tell anybody else that's in the gaming industry or gaming fandom that says, hey, this is a channel worth checking out, right? Till next time, I hope you guys have yourself